His name is Kevin Cleary. Hey, Kevin, come on over.
So you just want this
Kevin Cleary is NYAIL's lobbyist. And lobbyists have a bad rap in this community, or in this city. But for those of you who don't know Kevin, he's worked with us for 7 years, and he has decades of experience in just what we do. Services. Decades, yes. He's older than I am. So he's looking at my notes. Don't read my notes while I'm saying them. That's not fair. All right, so he has decades of experience, and he was a legislative staff person. He's worked for the Office of Mental Health. He's worked for one of the largest lobbying firms here in Albany, and now for over a decade he has had his own firm, Kevin Cleary Government Relations, LLC, and we're very happy he does. He's deeply knowledgeable about the New York State budget process, particularly with respect to healthcare, Medicaid, disability service systems, and disability rights. Kevin's been a quiet mentor to me for many years, and to Lindsay. He knows that neither one of us are born lobbyists, so he pushes us out in front when we prefer to be behind, because he knows that's what's best for our community. He knows that being here in Albany, being visible the way you are today, is critical. Like I said, lobbyists often get a bad rap in this city. But if you walk the halls of the Capitol with Kevin, you see people's faces light up because he's been talking to them for years and they like him. And it's a really wonderful thing to watch. But most importantly, when you go into meetings with decision makers, they know that Kevin has something important for them to hear, and he represents us very, very strongly. You'll see a lot of bantering, but you'll see this subtle acknowledgement that these are matters that have to do with people's lives and making sure they're safe and well and have their chosen life in the community. Kevin's long-standing relationships across the legislative and executive decision makers, as well as the new relationships he's fostered in 3 changes in the governor's office, most recently with Governor Cuomo's staff. He often says to decision makers, I always get a kick out of this, that the NYAIL movement can be a real pain to deal with, big pain, but that doesn't mean we're not right. And I agree, we are often right. Kevin puts his heart and soul into vigorous advocacy when we are right and in support of our rights to live in the community, and we are deeply grateful for his assistance. I would ask Kevin to come up and take this really minor little memento of our deep gratitude for his work. This was going to happen. He actually just thinks he's next on the agenda to talk with you. So I've embarrassed him, but I'll suffer for that later. But he is going to talk to you a little bit about making the connection between Roger's comments about the Olmstead decision and what's happening in New York and your role, the importance of your visibility. And so I'll let Kevin say a few words now.
Thanks a lot. That's very touched by it. And it's hard for me, frankly, to, since this is what I get paid to do. I mean, I take inspiration actually from the folks who, get on a bus in Buffalo, with great discomfort and distance, and come here with grace and courage and let people know what's going on in their lives and demanding that something be done about it. It's very impressive. And I take a lot of inspiration from that. So I question whether that's justified, but I appreciate it. We do live in exciting times, and a lot of the excitement of the times has been as a result of people listening to your voices, seeing you here in Albany, and realizing that there's so much that needs to be done. You heard a little bit about Olmsted. We've got a federal law, community first choice, that's yet to be implemented that really has the ability to transform everything that's going on to a very person-centered system. We've got the future of consumer-directed and how that's going to interact with all the managed care initiatives that are going on. You know, health homes, managed long-term care. There's so many balls up in the air right now, and I think we really have a governor that has a good set of values and is pointing things in the right direction. But that being said, there's a lot of details to be worked out, and I think what we need to really be pushing for strongly is to, you know, have a seat at the table and have a voice in the conversations as decisions about how things that are going to change and help your lives long term are being put together. So, you know, I think part of the message for today, usually, you know, we've got a more radical message, or we're taking over the war room, or taking over the assembly chamber. We're not taking over anything today, are we, Bruce? Not that I'm aware of, anyway. So, but I think as you go around and talk to people, just let them know that there are so many things that are going on, so many important things, so many things that have the potential to be positive things, but they're not going to be done correctly unless you are all sitting at the table telling people what you need and how things will best, could best be put together to help you going forward. So, I mean, I really think the message is, you know, not to borrow too much from ADAPT, but I think the nothing about us without us is really kind of the theme, that there's a lot of well-intentioned folks around and everyone wants to do the right thing, but I'm not even sure that they can do the right thing unless they listen. So I think part of what our charge is to make them listen, and to get at the table and make them listen, and to get at another table and make them listen again. So there's a process that's playing itself out. So just let people know how important all of this is to you. Obviously it is. You wouldn't have come here if it wasn't. And to let people know as decisions are made going forward, you would like those decisions made with your input, direct input, in mind. And I think that in terms of what we're trying to do is to get you at all the tables that we can. I think that you need to continue your voice to demand to be at those tables. And I think we'll do very well. Again, I'm very touched by the award, and I'm very touched by the award.